Howdy gentle humans, welcome back to my channel. This is Diana Chu here at SLOWGAZE. We're here to talk about drugstore makeup and the feeling that I have gotten, how I feel way too bougie to buy drugstore anymore. I've transcended myself. I used to buy drugstore all the time and now I don't. So I wanted to take some time to discern with you today on camera about why I'm in this place and how comfortable I am with it. Talk about minimalism, talk about the feeling of pressure that comes with buying something luxury and then kind of bumping it up to the next level. Maybe something that's a little more expensive, a little more exclusive. The pressure to keep up with buying luxury, the pressure to match what we see on YouTube if we consume beauty YouTube. I know I do, and it really has coincided with my uptick in spending. All of these reviews, there's like the best of the best, ranking of highlighters, ranking of blushes, and there is the best of the best. And it's usually higher end, you know? That's what I'm gonna be pining for. There's a lot to discuss here. I hope you'll watch till the end and let's just dive in. I do put a little bit of makeup on in the beginning so that we do talk about products themselves. I also have a bag of makeup from 2008. So I'll show you everything in the bag. I'll talk about everything that I put on my face, and then we'll talk about the juicy bits, the really nice philosophical little tidbits that hopefully will join each other on discussion for. Did that last sentence make sense? Let's move on before I totally derail this. All right, the way that we're gonna structure this is I'm gonna go through and just put on makeup as usual. Just do the whole get ready with me thing because I know I won't be able to focus on all the finer points of my arguments or what I'm trying to sort of portray in this video once I'm doing makeup, because I'm just that one track kind of person. So I'd love to go through the makeup with you, just relax into it and have a little bit of fun putting products on my face, and then I'll go into maybe a little bit more philosophy just to cap it off. I would love to hear from you in the comments about all your thoughts on this because it's been something that's been knocking around my brain for a little while. I'm just going in with some sunscreen, forming in my brain. It's like coalescing, and I've been thinking about just upgrading, how I've been upgrading so much, not just in the makeup realm, but basically everything I own feels like it needs to be upgraded. I'm not super into homewares or furniture or anything, but I feel like that will be a step maybe in the future. And I don't want to continue this slow roll into intense lifestyle creep. So now that I've prepped my face, I also don't really have anything drugstore to put foundation on. Let's forgo it. Let's forgo it today. I'm so aware of luxury and I'm so bought into the idea that this is like only stuff I own now. The rest that we have to work with today is a Revlon eyeliner, butter bronzer, e.l.f. and Revolution to the rescue. Same with some Honest Beauty. It's everything I need to make a full face, and yet why does this feel like it's not quite enough? I know though that all these products are lovely, like absolutely wonderful, to the point where why would I need anything else? And yet I have so much makeup. Let's go in with the Revolution first. Highlighter Reloaded and Dare to Divulge. But one does have to wonder why they can look so similar, because I know that Physicians Formula used to have a pressed highlighter just like this, but in this packaging, and now I can't find it anymore. I think it was still in their butter line. I mean, are they all just manufactured in the same place? Like, I really want to know. Made in China. Dare to Divulge. Look at that highlight. I just want to swatch in comparison this Super Glow by Natasha Denona Light Medium 02. This is now the Natasha Denona. If you hear my cat in the background, make his name big in the movie business. He wants to be part of these videos. Okay, everything's fine. He just wanted his butt scratched. So looking at these two swatches, you can tell that the Revolution is far more metallic. It's more opaque metallic. And then the Natasha Denona one actually does give you a very similar vibe once you sheer it out. This has more of a cool tone, almost blue leaning, and then this one has a much more champagne. If I sheer them out and blend them out, you know, it does look like kind of my wet cheeks right there. That to me is the same wet and wet look. Yes, it did brighten and lighten the skin tone that I have already. Special highlight. There's no glitter that I can detect. It's just shimmer. So I'm gonna go in with a big fluffy brush. See, even my brushes are not drugstore. Like, this is the level that I've gotten to. And I hope you know that this video is meant to be not just self-deprecating, a look how far I've come, I kind of can't believe it I've gotten myself to this point and I haven't like allowed myself to feel it and look at the ramifications or like process this. And I want to do that with you on camera. So this is not passing judgment to anyone who loves beautiful things at a higher price point, who can afford them, who can want to afford them. They're buying something that will give them pleasure. But I also have to acknowledge that this is only perpetuating the need and the want to like keep up with other people who also show that they can purchase these things. And sometimes it feels like it's so within reach when really maybe it shouldn't be, or it's malaligning some priorities within ourselves. And you know, just by sharing so much luxury makeup, it feels like that's the course that maybe everybody has to take. It's an implicit thing that I am spewing out to you video after video. If you see that I'm slowly moving towards clean beauty. I got rudely interrupted by my memory card. As I was saying, I am at a point, every choice that I make and that I recommend to you, it is implicitly about my values. I'm acting on this decision that I've made internally and acting on my values, and I'm saying basically that this is what I value and maybe you should too. So if I value clean beauty, it's an assumption if you're listening to my videos or that you also want to do the same. We share like a kindred want, and same with luxury. And I think it doesn't go said enough on my channel, especially since I don't really love to dive into comparisons, or I don't dive into drugstore all that much, because also clean beauty is now in this like sacred luxury realm. It's definitely a higher price point, a lot of it. Honest beauty, even at the drugstore, is a higher price point. It's very white. It's a space that's occupied primarily by white women, as if you can imagine, you know, Gucci Westman for sure, but Gwyneth Paltrow is like another figurehead that I think of when I think of clean beauty. Jessica Alba, I know that she's a Latinx woman, but still very light skinned. So there's so much out there that's pervasive and like it's pure, it's clean, it's light, it's white. You know, there's this feeling out there. And I haven't been able to try some brands like LYS Beauty. See, we haven't even gotten past the highlighter and already I'm pontificating. Back to the highlighter, I kind of am using it with a big fluffy brush, almost like a finishing powder, because this summer I'm just feeling it. Like I really want to look like a silver, smooth chrome liquid mercury droplet from the Terminator. I just want to feel like I'm reborn, and that means to me like totally smooth cheeks. Speaking of which, I'm going into the butter bronzer now, of which we know very well and we deeply love. This is the shade Deep Bronze. Comparing them at Target, it was difficult for me to be like, this is exactly my shade, but I know I've had deep bronzer in the past, and yes, I totally decluttered it and now I have rebought it. That's another discussion for another day. But once the video is over and your camera is off and you're left with all this makeup, that feels just so wrong to throw straight into the trash. To be able to figure out how to properly dispose of it, to reach out to your friends, to know their skin tones. I don't have any sisters or brothers, and I don't have people. My mom doesn't live in this state, you know? It's like very hard for me to automatically be able to know who to pass it on to, let alone to pass it on to someone. Once you're left with all this makeup sitting around knowing that you want to dispose of it, let's say I wanted to sell it on Depop. I've made the decision not to. I know that a lot of you have recommended that I do so. Totally get it, but I was like, this is too much work, you know? So I don't know if you've had the same feeling, that it's a bit overwhelming and that it just feels wrong to throw it away, but that's just the easiest option. Stopping the shopping to begin with, because, and I have done some talking about that. If you want to see those videos, I do talk about things to do instead of shopping online, things to do with your current makeup collection to make it feel fresh and new again. I do really love the scent of the butter bronzer. It's so familiar at this point that I missed the scent memory most of all. And that's why I bought it again. I know that it has a perfect satin finish. I know that it'll show up on my skin tone, and it's cheap enough for me to like feel okay buying it, justifying it, even though I have other bronzers. I just missed the scent memory. So when I bought this, I felt like I was coming home. This one I was not feeling so great about when I bought it, simply because it's made in China. And I've talked about products that are made in China, it not being a API thing. I am of Chinese descent, you know, it's totally not a race thing. It's totally about labor laws over there and quality control and whatnot. So that's why I don't support, or I try not to support, things that are made in China, and hence mainly it felt kind of wrong. Also, just by packaging standards, this already came scratched and nicked on the cover, and just the way that they foil stamped it on the outside was easily scratched. It didn't come with any like protective covering, which is fine. This one comes with like a cardboard sleeve. While that's okay, it saves some cardboard, I get it. Just felt really cheap. Compared to e.l.f. though, this feels like a really structured and chic compact blush palette. It's simply in the shade Light. Also made in China, so not the best. It has traveled very far to get to us. I'm going to go into this light pink first, then I'm going to go down into this mauvey pink here, dusty rosy pink, then up into this sparkly orange, which has like gold particles, can you see that? And then this, which is reading a little bit green perhaps, but it's also like the most tangerine neutral kind of blush. So you actually have very warm, very cool, you have kind of muted, slight purple in there, and then you have something a little bit hotter, slightly hotter, with some orange and a little bit of gold fleck. I could use the pink on my cheeks and it'll show up a nice little perk without feeling like I'm putting on too much blush. This is the Dusty Rose. I feel like this would work on a lot of undertones. Not tangerine shade, but the one that has the gold fleck in it. And then this is the one that's basically tangerine. So like I said, really nice range. I'm gonna go into that light pink and sweep upwards. It does have a lot of kickback. I am getting a lot of like powder in the air as I do that, as I knock the brush handle against my mirror. And see what I mean? That's just the pink shade. Granted, I do have a little bit of bronzer, I'm sure that's still left over, but it's the most natural perking blush. It feels really good. So if I wanted to go in with a little bit more color, I'm gonna go in with just a little bit more of that dusty rosy color. The big side just in that clementine color. And I just wanna focus it almost on the very top and blend everything out. Et voila. So again, I went in with this shade first. This one is the one that has like a little bit of a sheen to it. Then I went in with this shade, this nice bricky, dusty rose, and then this shade here. I didn't use this deeper gold flecked orange. Small enough, but big enough. It doesn't have a mirror. None of these products do. That's the only gripe I have, but I also really understand that that adds packaging cost. So let's go in next with the Revlon Color Stay Crayon Contour. It's a little eyeliner. It's literally in the shade black. I have used this several times. The top of my lash line. Make sure that's all blended out. This might feel like a more natural kind of everyday makeup look. And I don't think having drugstore makeup means that it has to be a little less intense. I don't have eyeshadow here, as you can imagine, but if I did, I'm sure I could do a full beat glam look if I wanted to. This just happens to be my bare minimum these days, and I just kind of want a more structured look. I'm getting like more of a skin feeling, and then my eyes are just a little bit more pronounced, but I'm not going in and making a full like glam look like I mentioned. Honest Beauty mascara, and if you haven't used this, I really recommend it. It's great for lashes that are just like mine, a little short, a little straight, but it stays. I have really oily lids and really oily skin, and that combo makes for a difficult mascara buddy. It really works. It stays all day. No flaking, no smudging, and it actually is kind of harder to take off. It's not the hardest, but it's definitely clinging on there. I don't think it's a tubing mascara. The only thing I don't like is the fact that you have to go in with a primer first. You obviously don't have to, but it does make a difference. My lashes are so fine and so small and short that you can't even see that I've done like primer. Usually with those white primers you can tell right away because you can see the white on lashes, but because my lashes are so itty bitty, I'll try to scoot in a little closer for you. I'm very picky when it comes to mascaras, and this one is the cheapest in my arsenal. I think it's either $17 or $18, which is not cheap to begin with. Back with the lip gloss, I was like, something's missing. We have the Juicy shade of this Jason Wu lip gloss. It is really nice. It is slightly plumping. I've just been into clear lip glosses lately, and this one really fits the bill. Ballet Slipper Pink, that's almost the same shade as the Glossier lip gloss, if you know what I mean. The top has rubbed off completely because of my oily fingers. Love the little doe foot. That's this gloss. My cat is still yodeling. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go check him out, and then I'll come back and try to regroup. Speaking of cats, how do you like my cat shirt? It's cute. So with everything, it feels really nice and luminous. I feel fresh again. I feel like a summer vibe is happening. There's absolutely nothing different from how I would feel after putting on drugstore makeup compared to some of my higher end makeup. The one thing I will say as an experience is like if I'm having a nice lip color on or something like a lip gloss, and I'm bringing it with me throughout the day and I want to reapply, having something that's higher end or luxe does feel nice. I do think that's a different feeling. Every time I reapply something, obviously I have to deal with the packaging, and I'm reminded of the purchase. And if it's a nice experience, it'll add to the overall effect. However, I also get nervous traveling with something that's like higher end sometimes, right? I'm scared if I'm going to drop my Chanel lipstick into the toilet at the rave show and it's gonna be like a whole nother thing to worry about. However, something like this, it feels like it should be on the voyage with me. I should always have this in my pocket, and it feels a little bit like, I guess, a nostalgia, because it feels like I'm back in high school, or I have a tube of lipstick and it's just gonna get mixed in with my pencils and my pencil case, and it's in the pocket of my jeans, and it's just gonna be like a nice, faithful companion. It's gonna get grody, and I don't mind if I lose it, but I'd be so sad because it's like my best friend, you know? It's like a whole different experience. And so that's one way I can look at this. The other way of this is just saying, like, am I too far beyond the pleasures of, let's say, this butter bronzer? I've been duped into thinking that luxury is better, and so inherently I'm just gonna have that price bias. Like I said, I love this packaging, or at least the color of it. We all don't understand the mystery of the second layer of this packaging, especially when it comes with that weird spongy green paddle that nobody shall talk about forevermore. But I really love the scent of it. It brings me back. So like, why don't I prefer this over anything else? That already tells me that there's a distinct price bias within me, saying that, oh, even though logically, if I think about it, this is probably my favorite bronzer, I still decide to use ones that are double or even triple the price just because I think that that's going to be a better experience. It's not. It simply is not. So just to think of my collection as like what gives me the most pleasure, and maybe even what gives me the most memories, is interesting. I haven't put all my makeup through that filter yet, so I can't really talk about my collection in that way, but that's definitely one thing I want to do in the future. I do have this from the drugstore as well. This is the Thayer's Facial Mist in Witch Hazel. I use this basically as a setting spray, but I don't think of it as a setting spray. I think of it as like a settle down spray. Beautiful fine mist. Has this nice rose petal scent, but you can get it in unscented or several scents, which I really appreciate. I find that after putting powders down, spraying a little bit of that settles it all down, like it kind of melts it into each other, which is what setting spray does, but it doesn't really set everything like I think like Max Fix Plus does. I didn't know how to say that out loud. So that is from the drugstore. From drugstore to luxury, I don't know if I can go back. It simply feels like an upgrade. So if I feel like I'm here, what's there left to get? I can't like go backwards, which is a really, really flawed thinking, because there's so many wonderful products out there. Like for instance, Pat McGrath, I didn't know on her website, I was reading about her on her website. So it's marketing copy, it's going to paint this picture of her, but it does talk about how she used to be like the global, and I'm gonna get this wrong, but like consultant overseeing CoverGirl. I didn't know that. No wonder CoverGirl might have, you know, more initiatives of being clean, or like maybe their colors are spot on. It was really interesting and eye-opening. It's not like these products are subpar. So much research and development go into this. They also have to work on a mass scale. Looking at both of these, let's say these two highlighters that I swatched for you, I do still prefer reaching for something like this. It feels silkier, it feels higher end just by the way it's produced. and by how much I bought it for. So now I'm like, I'm going to cherish this more. Will this give me the same effect, if not an even more blinding effect? Yes. This video is not going to end with any like nice, neat, elegant parcel of a conclusion. I simply wanted to bring this up and talk about how I feel like I have come a long way buying stuff. So this is the makeup bag that I've been teasing for a little while. I wasn't able to bring this up as like a full-on just single video on its own, but this is a Clinique makeup bag. It is faux croc, all pleather. I'm sure my mom got this as like a gift once she bought a certain amount of stuff, and I've had this since college, over 10 years ago. Oh, but I opened this up and I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I used to like have, and this was my whole collection of makeup. And it really is a hodgepodge of stuff. So I'll show you one for one. And some of this, I'm so excited to be doing this video because it means I can actually get rid of this after we talk, because I don't even want to open this. It's so disgusting. This must have been like a Lumiere, you know, like another highlighting fluid. I didn't know what a shiny, liquidy thing was supposed to do for my face. Like I had no clue what highlighters were doing, let alone where to put this on my face. Do I put it all over? How much do I put? I just remember never using this, and look how separated and gross that now is. So that's definitely going in the trash, as is everything in here. Some L'Oreal. This was apparently the shade that I was back in college, W4 Natural Beige. And I really remember loving this foundation. It really matched my skin. Base of undertones. I think it's maybe up to here. I've used most of it. And I would open the cap, still looks creamy in there, and I would like pat it out on my palm and go in ham with that. I thought that's what you had to do. I had quite a few lipsticks in here. A Revlon one, Rosy Nude in 065. This has like a nice little diamond pattern to it. And this seems like I used it just enough. I had no clue what I was doing, basically. I also have a Royal Red by Maybelline. This one seems like it's gotten a lot of love. Very fresh, bright red, nice scarlet. This one was called Foxy, and this is by Rimmel. And we had Rimmel really big out in Hong Kong, which is where I was living before going to college. So this seemed to be a nice nude lipstick. This feels very in line with what I want and buy now. Reds, nudes, rosy nudes. You know, it feels like I've always been telling the same story to myself. L'Oreal lipstick, sunblock, Good on You, Diana. Insta-Dry, Sally Hansen. We have one from Arezia in Hong Kong, Crackle Glaze. You can hear that. So these are all from the drugstore, pretty much. This is a L'Oreal Paris Magnetic color. Slate blue with this like silvery blue, and in the back, you see that it had the little sponge applicator, which I used. I tried to be very careful with one side I'd use on the lighter shade, and then the other side I would use for the darker shade, because I was like, I only have one of these. I gotta be careful with it. Very intentional. I remember going to so many concerts using this. Mostly this darker color, but I would just dig into one side of it, and I would just like go ham and go to like All American Rejects concerts, because that was my thing. HIP, I feel like that was a thing. The L'Oreal High Intensity Pigments was like a total like 2000s branding. This is their Jelly Balm in this nice red. That's a deep burgundy shade. Looks like I used that quite a bit as well. Ooh, yeah, I must have liked these high intensity pigments from L'Oreal. So this is in the shade Sculpted, and it was also like a different color mood. Let's see if on the back I was just as vigilant. Yep, here's the lighter side on the sponge, and here's the darker shade. So I did use the applicators that came with them. They seemed really important to me. Wow, this is a nice shade. These are like mauvey tone, pink flecks everywhere. Then I have an Expert Wear eyeshadow in Night Sky. So this was an even darker black, and let's see if it can focus. I dug in so hard, you can tell. I guess I was into the really sultry looking colors. Stuff from Bath & Body Works, which I would argue is even higher price point. Here's a CoverGirl one in this dark purple. Eggplant, aubergine shaded eye gel. The rest in here are not drugstore. This is where I have jumped into luxury makeup, and it's all by Bare Minerals. And I remember distinctly it was because my roommate at the time, she loved Bare Minerals. I had never walked into a boutique. I was always scared to go in. I didn't know the first thing about Bare Minerals, etc., etc. All of these, I think, are eyeshadows, which is fascinating to me. I'm not going to open all of them because if you know these, they have so much glitter. I'm like scared to tip that out. You literally could breathe it all in. And I loved how shimmery these were. Good Fortune, which is this gorgeous like goldy color. There's Sincerely Renee, which I remember as like a pretty slate-y, almost matte gray. Drama was like this deeper brown. Soul Sister seemed like a red brown. Pussycat was a really popular one. And then we have Morning, which looks like a blush. Yeah, so I had one blush and it was in this beautiful dusty pink, almost like a tender apricot color. This is it. This was like everything in here. I have like weird nail stickers and a lipstick case and a eye pencil that from Stila, but that's it. To show you how far I have come, because maybe some of you have the same kind of trajectory all throughout college. You're kind of figuring it out. You might have a preference for a certain look. Maybe you were highly experimental. I know I was, but I also was not scared to go really deep or really bold, or I put too much makeup on, or I was always going for really deep colors. I didn't know about transition shades, and like now thinking of buying a palette with 18 colors, bonkers. Like even those 9 pans from ColourPop, they seem a little bit daunting thinking back to Diana, who literally would buy eyeshadow that had 2 colors in there. I just wanted something really straightforward. And these duos were just that. So what am I doing now with palettes and palettes and palettes, right? So it's interesting to think about, because now I feel like I've plunged myself deeper into a world. You need more. And the only way to get more and better is to go up the pay scale. If I were to bring this on vacation, I wouldn't be scared of losing it. I wouldn't be scared of not knowing what my look would be that day. It's highly light. It comes with its own brush. This is far superior. All right, to round this all off, I just want to touch back on a couple points. Buying one luxury makeup thing makes me feel like I need to buy another luxury makeup thing. Let's say I just had all drugstore stuff and I bought my first Natasha Denona highlighter glow, and it was just so nice and so beautiful, and it just made me feel like I needed to upgrade all my other stuff. That's known as the Diderot effect, where one thing spirals into this other thing because of the context it's giving. It's like the theory of relativity, and to be able to be relative to it, I had to elevate everything else around it, which, as you can tell, is problematic. So I totally fell into that. Why am I not going for middle of the road things or finding my own values in this marketplace that can span the whole spectrum? But now I have so much to choose from. What are my new standards for myself? I know that I've talked on this channel about being more in the clean beauty space. So yes, I think that's still really big up there, but Honest Beauty now lives there. The lip bar, I haven't tried because my Target doesn't own it, but that's no excuse. I also watch a lot of YouTube that is higher end, and I'm definitely more attracted to things that are a little bit more sophisticated. I hate to say it, but that's the vibe that I want, and that's the vibe that I feel like is appropriate to my age. I have totally fallen into social economical like contexts, like I'm actually upgrading myself as well, right? Because this all comes back to upgrading of the self and how these products reflect on not only how I think of myself, but how you think of me. I need to figure out exactly why I like products, like back to the butter bronzer. I already told you why I like this so much, but maybe with some of my higher end pieces, I really have to understand what they're doing for me and if it's worth their price. The holy grail fallacy as well. If I'm gonna say I want the best makeup in the world, what would most people put down as like what defines the best? Usually it's like high quality ingredients, really gorgeous effect, gorgeous packaging, you know, and all this stuff. Usually it means it's gonna land in the higher price range. But if I want to make it really discerning to me, I need to come up with my own definition of the best. And if that means it has to smell like coconuts, so be it. So I need to be really comfortable saying no to things that other people are loving, that they'll just talk on about over and over again, and that might not be my value. I have to be okay not feeling like I have to have the best of the best, especially with this minimalism journey too. minimalism and makeup. I need to only have the best because I can only have one of everything. I obviously don't have one of everything. I have several of everything. That's why I'm back to this feeling of like, oh, I need to declutter. I have to get to the point where I just have the best of the best. And yet, how can I do that if I'm not focusing on what makes it the best? I hope all of this has made sense. Otherwise, I hope you just enjoyed hanging out with me. I want to declutter my makeup again, but kind of in the reverse, because I've been doing ones where I like have an idea of things that I really want to keep, so I keep them, and then I like decide on the things that are either no's or maybes throughout the video. I can try at this time where I only want to keep 3 of every product in every category, and that would still lead me to have like almost 100 pieces, maybe. I'll have to do the math on that one. But it'll really force me to say like, what are my holy grails, but also what are the top 3 of my holy grails. It's not so tight as to saying like I can only have one. That's my theory anyway. We'll see how well that goes. I would love to hear your thoughts on upgrading, the pressure to upgrade, the feeling that you can only keep one, so it might as well be the best, and the best usually means that it's more expensive. Throughout the years, being 18 to now 31, it has been long enough for me to not notice the lifestyle creep up until maybe 2 years ago when I really got into luxury makeup, and then it just exploded open this world of, oh my gosh, Natasha Denona, oh my gosh, Pat McGrath, you know, Charlotte Tilbury, like I can name all these names now so comfortably, and I am uncomfortable with that. Also coincided with watching beauty YouTube. I did not for the longest time. I would watch Jeffree Star, who I know is so canceled, so I'm sorry for bringing him up, but that was an entry point for me. So was Tati. The comparisons between $95 what the fuck from Tati or something, he's comparing like a $4 highlighter to something from Charlotte Tilbury, like I would always side with the yes, that's a what the fuck, or like yes, that is absolutely not worth $74. Like why wouldn't I just buy the $4 one? I remember that distinct feeling of I can never be swayed to buy something that's $125. And yet look at me here. I want to end this on a really positive note, saying that no matter what stage you're at or how you're feeling about all this, just a little bit of internal reflection really goes a long way. So it's nothing about like what we're doing now or passing judgment. It's about finally taking a step back, slowing down, gazing inwards, and seeing where we're at, whether or not we like it, like where we're at, like where we're going. And if not, just change your course just a little bit, just 1 degree turns, right? This is where I just pose to you these questions, maybe hopefully start a discussion. I would like to think that I've asked myself these questions as well, and we'll go on this journey together. So again, this is not like a total intervention. It's more of a let's chat about this. I don't think it's talked about enough on YouTube. Comment down below if you've enjoyed this video or if you thought of something that I missed. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, subscribe. I mean, I'd love to hang out with you more, so come back. I do post every Wednesday, and I will see you on my next video. Adios.